In the public discourse surrounding serial killers, it is well known that Albert H. DeSalvo confessed to 13 murders in March of 1965. But in the past decade, it has also been contested that DeSalvo was only a fraud seeking notoriety. These alternate theories go as far as claiming that the investigators had no idea who Albert was, and all of a sudden decided to help him confess to these heinous crimes. But what needs to be made clear is that leading up to DeSalvo's confessions, the heat was on. Phil had been investigating the task force for a full year before he got a hold of the name of Albert DeSalvo from an anonymous tip, and so it was finally in January of 1965 that the case broke. But how are we to recall how this unfolded? Well, it's apparent reading through Phil's journals exactly what happened, despite the fact his entries are cut and dry and lack any reflection or emphasis. Friday, January 8, 1965, Chief of Security at Mass General Hospital called me, told me about a good suspect and gave me some information on one Albert H. DeSalvo of Malden. Monday, January 11, 1965, tried to phone Andy at Mass General to see if he got any more information about one Albert DeSalvo who raped an unknown nurse at Mass General Hospital. Tuesday, January 19, 1965, about 9 p.m. went to Malden to check out records. Before returning home, went to Florence Street to look for Albert DeSalvo's home to see if his car was parked there. Wednesday, January 27, 1965, Andy and I worked all morning trying to phone the nurse who phoned in the complaint on Albert DeSalvo. Thursday, January 28, 1965, trying to get information on the nurse who was assaulted by Albert DeSalvo of Malden. Wednesday, February 10, 1965, got working on DeSalvo upstairs. It's been a month of legwork for Phil, and he finally realizes that DeSalvo was locked up from a crime he committed in Cambridge, so he goes to the Cambridge Police Department. Tuesday, February 23, 1965, about 2 p.m. went to Cambridge Police Department, received papers from records on Joseph King and Albert DeSalvo. About 5 p.m. went to 1010 Com Ave, talked to Lieutenant Detective, also got to check out DeSalvo, going to check out Albert completely. At this point, Phil's hunches take over. DeSalvo was never considered a suspect because he was in jail during the first 5 murders, but Phil felt DeSalvo was looking so good he deserved a second check. Wednesday, February 24, 1965, about 9 a.m. went to Cambridge Court and talked to probation officer again about Albert DeSalvo. Got more information on the Albert case, his history, still more to do on Albert DeSalvo. About 1 p.m., returned to office and made a few more calls to do more checking on Albert DeSalvo. Albert case is getting interesting. We'll have to talk to him soon. And it's here where things start getting interesting, because what was discovered is the fact that Albert was out of jail for all of the murders because he was released on parole. The clerk's office didn't report that bit of information, so DeSalvo was not on anyone's list, and now that really put him right up at the top. Friday, February 26, 1965, working again on Albert DeSalvo cases, doing some checking on his working dates, worked at office till 8 p.m. Monday, March 1, 1965, more checking on Albert DeSalvo, worked in the office till 8:15 p.m. Tuesday, March 2, 1965, stayed in the office all day, worked on all the cases. Wednesday, March 3, 1965, went to Cambridge Police Department. After that, went to MGH to check with Andy on Albert DeSalvo. Thursday, March 4, 1965, went to Mass General Hospital and met Andy and went through records trying to find the nurse that Albert DeSalvo raped from the hospital. So at this point, Phil has found the key reason why no one had DeSalvo as a suspect, and he felt it was time to go see him locked up at Bridgewater State Hospital. Friday, March 5, 1965. About 11 a.m. went to Boston Police Headquarters, and from there I went to Cambridge Police Headquarters. Talked to Sergeant Donovan. From there I went to Bridgewater Prison to talk to Albert DeSalvo. Dr. Roby told me that Mr. Bailey was representing him. Went to try and phone Bailey so I could talk to DeSalvo. Couldn't get anywhere. We'll phone Bailey Monday morning about DeSalvo. And this was the point at which Phil realizes his pinch is going to get away from him. As a lawman, he can't talk to DeSalvo if he has a lawyer unless the lawyer is present. But Phil knows if a defense attorney of Bailey's stature is involved, then something is up. And so it's another 2 weeks of running around, but Phil knows he has his man, so much so that on his March 15th entry, there's a red check mark, finally showing some satisfaction or bit of self-appreciation that Phil finally had his man.